Don't Watch Movies with me, Monze.
And me, Corinne.
Hello! Yay!
Woo! Do your theme song.
We don't watch movies. My terrible theme song I forgot to do last time, and it made me so sad.
It did.
I just have to remember to do it every time, heaven forbid. Mm-hmm. So, today we are here with a movie that I have seen many times. A movie Corinne has never seen. Shocking, slightly.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I agree. I think the fact that you went to film school and you haven't seen this movie is shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we are talking about the 1950 film Sunset Boulevard. Considered one of the greats. Top movies, one of the greats. Definitely most film students will watch this movie in some type of class. Not Corinne, though. Corinne said, not for me.
Not me.
This guy, not watching that movie.
Mm-mm.
All right. So, Corinne, how have you never watched Sunset Boulevard?
Okay.
I love this movie so much. This movie is so good. Sorry, I just had to put in my 2 cents. I love this movie. And I think probably just because, I love history and I like film history specifically, and I feel like this movie paints a lot of that, and I don't know, just gives insight into the lots of. I could probably dig into this movie forever, but anyway, Corinne, sorry.
And we will.
It's your time. You speak. Why haven't you seen this?
I think that's a valid question, because I think out of all the movies of Corinne, why haven't you seen it? This is the most valid movie to ask that question for, because I did go to film school, and I think we were supposed to watch it for class.
Probably.
Yeah, and I just never watched it. There's a lot of movies that if it was watch this on your own time, I just didn't watch it. Similar to how I was supposed to read The Great Gatsby in its entirety in AP Lang, and I did not.
Wait, hold on. Corinne, wait! You've never read Great Gatsby?
I haven't finished it. I've never finished The Great Gatsby.
Oh my god, I love The Great Gatsby.
I will say I enjoyed what I did read. I just never finished it. I don't know why. And if any of my English teachers are watching this,
where did you stop? Did you get to the car scene? No, because that's the end, isn't it?
Maybe I did do the. I remember them talking about
spectacle billboard.
I remember them talking about the West Egg and the East Egg, and I was like, "What? This doesn't."
You're in class nodding along. Yeah. West Egg.
I remember reading about that. I remember him mentioning Daisy.
Okay. Instrumental character to the film. You remember Daisy? I'm also a fucking English teacher right now. I can't even. Oh my god. Okay.
I know. Right. It's my deep, dark, dirty secret. I passed the class though. So
of course you passed the class.
I was writing essays.
I believe you have the skills required to bullshit based on what you know. Something students these days do not have.
It's an underrated skill.
Corinne, we're wearing matching colors. We're both wearing burgundy.
We're both wearing university. This is kind of a chaotic episode right now.
I started so low energy, and now my energy is way up.
Now it's back.
It's back, and we're just insane.
For some reason, I remember. I feel like they were talking about the baby shoes never worn story or something in there. I don't know.
That's Ernest Hemingway.
I know, but he mentioned something like that. They were talking about shoes for some reason. I don't know. I didn't make it very far.
I don't think they mentioned the dead baby poem.
They mentioned something.
Great Gatsby.
They mentioned a baby.
Okay, because Daisy has a baby.
Yeah, I remember.
With Tom.
We talked a lot about her on the couch, and it's she's floating on the couch. We spent a long time talking about that.
Is this that Kate Beacon or whatever comic or whatever?
No!
That's what it sounds like. Okay, but anyway.
I know enough about The Great Gatsby to be able to bullshit an essay, but I think maybe I read Spark Notes or something, but I never finished it all the way through. I should. I do want to read it, because I
know how it ends?
I know he dies.
Spoilers.
He die in the pool,
green,
and there's a green light. That's the thing,
the
we
green
talked about
lantern,
the book.
Green light, yeah,
We talked about the book so much in class. That was what I based my essay off of. And if we had the book with us, I would just look for that and like read around it, and then that would be.
Oh my god! Wow, I'm learning so much. Insane. So I've never finished The Great Gatsby.
I never finished The Great Gatsby.
I love that book.
Yeah.
I want to reread it.
I do want to like read it. I just haven't gotten. For some reason, I just never finished it. And so.
And also, for some reason, never watched Sunset Boulevard.
Same thing. That was like when I needed to watch. That's like when I needed to watch North by Northwest, and I think all I saw was like the last 10 minutes.
You never watched North by Northwest! I am speechless! I literally own the fucking movie. We could have watched it together. What green?
I've only seen the airplane scene.
Yeah, the Carrie airplane scene. It's a great scene.
That's all I've seen.
That's not even the end.
That's all I've seen though.
That's like midpoint.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
That one I did need to watch for class, and I just never finished it. I've also never seen Chinatown.
I hate Chinatown.
We needed to watch it. I didn't watch Chinatown.
I've watched it and I've hated it ever since. I'm never gonna rewatch that movie.
But I've definitely
I will hold on to that opinion.
I've definitely written an essay about Chinatown, analyzing it.
Oh my god.
I'm a grade A bullshitter, is what I am.
I'm so proud of you for being a grade A bullshitter, but I'm so shook right now.
As you should, honestly.
About all of these revelations that are being made.
I'm not proud of this. I'm just saying. This is what I never got around to.
You know, I don't think I ever brought up North by Northwest for this because I was like, obviously, Green has seen that movie.
No, I have not. Okay, but yeah, I just didn't get around to watching it. I just never did. I don't. And then after school, I would forget about it. I've never been in a position where I'm like, had to make a decision on whether to watch it or not, because it just doesn't enter my mind. Similar with why I still haven't read Great Gatsby. It just hasn't entered my mind to read it. And at this point, it's like, well, I basically know what happens and what the themes are, but I feel like I should still read it and still watch Sunset Boulevard. So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of revelations were made tonight. I don't know how our friendship will recover. I just was going my whole life assuming you had read Great Gatsby in its entirety and had seen North by Northwest in its entirety, and you're not the person I thought you were.
I'm so sorry. I know I've shattered this perception.
You shattered the illusion.
And you know what? I still had better grades than my ex. And I'm sure he watched those movies, so.
Oh, I'm sure he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Still passed the class.
What's the next thing we do? We watch the trailer, right?
Oh, no, you asked me what I think happens.
Oh, what do you think? Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. I can't even. I know. Okay. What do you think this movie's about?
So I get this movie confused with Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've never seen Mulholland Drive. So.
I haven't seen either. I don't know which one has the I'm ready for my close-up scene.
Okay.
Which is it Sunset Boulevard?
I'm not telling you anything right now.
No, okay. I think it's Sunset Boulevard, but it might be Mulholland Drive. I'm just going to add that question mark.
Okay. Do you just get them mixed up because they're both named after streets?
It might be.
LA?
Yeah, I think it's because they're both named after streets.
I get Sepulveda.
Hollywood and Highland.
And Hollywood.
Lexington Avenue.
Mix them all the time.
Santa Monica Boulevard. Well, one of them is like a horror movie. Is Mulholland Drive the one about the Black Dahlia murders? I don't know. Anyways, I think Sunset Boulevard is a movie about the movie industry. I think it's
Okay.
about behind the scenes of Hollywood in like the 30s, but it was made in the 50s. I think it's about that makes more sense based on what's actually on Sunset Boulevard, I think, because that's close to Hollywood. So I think it's like this up and coming actor. Well, now I'm also getting it confused with that movie that's about those two real actresses that hated each other that were played by two other women that also kind of hated each other. I don't remember what movie I'm thinking of.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
The one with Betty Davis and, what's her name? I don't remember her name, but she has a very distinct cheek bone structure.
Catherine...
No, not Catherine Hepburn.
Faye Dunaway? No.
Faye Dunaway.
There's someone else I'm thinking of that...
Yeah.
It's not Catherine
Faye Dunaway
Hepburn? Okay.
in Chinatown.
I don't know what these women look like.
That's okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Okay. I'm getting it confused with that too. I'm just going to say. So I think it's like some actress and she's like a star, but she's difficult to work with, and she had a scandal, and now she's trying to come back with this movie, and it's kind of a character piece into like her, but also like an introspective on Hollywood and how they treat their actresses and stuff. And she's like desperate for work, and the system kind of screws her over when she's trying her best, but then when the system's working for her, she kind of screws herself over, like sabotages herself. And I think she says, "I'm ready for my close-up Mr. DeVille," or whatever. And then she succumbs to mental illness and has like a breakdown on set, and we see what was once a bright star fade away. That's what I think the movie's about.
Okay, your theme is right. Everything else, not really, plot-wise.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's watch the
Alright.
trailer.
Let's watch the trailer. I sent you the trailer. Announcing the most unusual motion picture in many years.
Sunset Boulevard. I feel like I've seen that.
I've seen that quite often. Created by Brackett and Wilder, who made Lost Weekend winner of 4 Academy Awards. Starring Bray Milland.
Is Billy
Now they
Wilder
bring
related to Gene
another-
Wilder?
No, I don't believe so.
Paramount, Sunset Boulevard. A Hollywood story.
That's Hedda Hopper herself.
Don't bother with a rewrite, man. Take this direct. Ready?
Oh, Buster Keaton.
As day breaks
Yeah.
over the house.
Yes, you'll read the big black headlines about Norma Desmond and this Hollywood.
Norma
scandal.
Desmond. Wait, I've heard that
You'll
name.
never read the true story.
That's
about
the name of the
true
actress. The character.
Joe Gillis, a promising young writer from Dayton, Ohio.
Watching the trailer. Why have I heard that
A
name?
Hollywood party who knew nothing about me, but knew what she wanted. Don't you love Artie?
Of course I love him. I always will. I'm just not in love with him anymore. You did?
Well,
Uh-oh.
they should have
William
lived happily
Holden.
ever after.
That
They
Riz.
do in the movies.
Oh,
But this was different. Because this is a Hollywood
see,
story
it's
about
about-
the people who make
it's about
the little ones
Hollywood.
that you never hear of, like Betty and me. The great ones like Cecil B. DeMille.
Oh, Cecil B.
All those
DeMille.
who knew
Yeah,
who
that's Cecil B.
Betty,
DeMille himself.
Oh,
strange woman who left her mark on all
strange
of us,
woman.
who crossed her path. Has it ever occurred to you that I may have a life of my own, that there may be some girl that I'm crazy about?
Ooh, some car for a dress extra?
What I'm trying to say is that I'm all wrong for you. You want a Valentino, somebody with polo ponies, a big shot.
She looks...
What you're trying to say is you don't want me to love you.
What you're trying to say is
Say
you
it.
don't want me to love me.
She slapped him.
Swanson, one of the
Say
great
it.
personalities of this generation, in a role that comes to an actress once in a lifetime. Rising to the heights, William Holden creates a startling portrayal.
He
And
took
a
that
newer
telephone
star
right
is
out of
born
her
in
hand.
Sunset Boulevard, Miss Nancy Olson.
Joe?
I don't know what else she's been in.
Where are you? What is this all about?
Being honest.
Speak for yourself.
New star, Nancy
Address is
Olsen.
10,086 Sunset Boulevard.
Yes,
No
come
one's
out
ever
to
seen
see
her.
for yourself the film that reaches a new milestone of dramatic daring. The film that every critic says is a
Ah,
giant
the
of a
sounds of
motion
LA.
picture.
The siren.
Yeah.
This is actually a really great trailer because it doesn't like tell you the story that much. Buster Keaton, my boyfriend.
They're storming the house. This house looks familiar too. Okay. So I'm gonna say this is the movie that has I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille, because Cecil B. DeMille is in it.
Cecil B. DeMille.
So
is
that's
in
who
it.
she's
Okay.
saying. And now I finally know what the actual line, like the name, because I didn't know if it was Mr. DeVille or
It's DeMille.
whatever.
When
but
you
now
said
it's
DeVille, I was like, like Cruella DeVille.
Yeah, I've only ever heard it quoted by my ex.
Of course.
So, and I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but okay, haha.
Wow.
But okay. So it's about making movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gloria Norma. I've definitely heard of Norma Desmond.
Okay.
So she's used to be a big actress. I still think it's like she used to be a big actress, and now she's kind of in decline, and she's difficult to work with, but she's trying to get back into the industry. And maybe the other lady is like an up-and-coming actress, so it's kind of like Norma is starting to lash out at the confines of the industry by trying to sabotage the other lady or something. I don't know. Something like that, yeah. But she's clearly going through a mental breakdown, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Closer. I'll just say closer. Okay. All right. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready to dig in?
I'm ready. I'm locked in.
Okay, I have literally the movie up on the side, and then I have both the IMDb and the Wikipedia, just in case I forget.
Perfect.
All right. So, our film opens, and we hear those sirens, and we see a bunch of police cars just like, screaming down the street. And it opens like on the Sunset Boulevard name tag that's on the whatever, that's the title. And you hear William Holden, he's like, yes, just another Hollywood story, right? And you come to this great big mansion, and I think it's the mansion at the Griffith Observatory. I think
that's why it looks familiar.
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen this building.
Yeah, it's that building.
It's just the observatory then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they come and they're all rushing, and there's like, along with the police, there are reporters, and they're all going. And he's like, oh, look at this, just another guy who just lost it all, basically. And you see a dead body in the pool. And like the reporters are taking pictures, and the police are there, like trying to, whatever. And he's like, that guy's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here, right?
I
Like,
am wondering how you got here.
yeah, indeed I am, right? And his name is Joe Gillis. And he's like, I always wanted a pool, and like a sucker, I finally got one. Right?
Oh.
Like that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm in. We got a little Empress.
Yeah. I
going
literally
on.
yeah. And he's like, he's like, I want to tell you my story before it gets blown up in the papers. Like, they're going to put all this stuff. But let me tell you, from basically my perspective. He's like, let's go back 6 months. So 6 months ago, he is a screenwriter. He's a working screenwriter, except he hasn't had work in a really long time. So he's an unemployed screenwriter, like all screenwriters.
Things never change. Things stay the same.
Honestly. And he's like in his apartment, and some like people, I don't know, from the bank or whatever, come and they're like, hey, we're here for your car, because he has no money. And he's like, I don't have my car. Like, what do you mean you don't have your car? He's like, it's in the garage somewhere, like it's getting repaired, I don't have it, like once I get it back, then obviously you could take my car, right? Like repossess it. And they're like, all right, guy, but no funny business, we'll be back. So they leave, and he's immediately like, I lied to them. So he like gets changed, and he goes down to like Paramount Studios because he knows someone, and he's trying to sell his script because he's like, I need my car. Like, I just need money because I need my car. So he's trying to sell this script, and it's like some baseball movie or whatever. And the guy who he's talking to, I don't know, in charge or something or whatever. The producer, he's like, all right, then we get the script in, and one of the script reader comes in, Betty Schaefer. And he's like, you got that movie? You know, the pages, I forgot what they're called. I literally can't remember what they're called. You know, the readers when they do the thing and they write the thing down and they...
The script supervisor?
No, forget it.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, don't... I almost had it and it left me. She's like, don't... It's not even a good script. Like, don't even try reading the whatever.
Ooh. And,
William Holden, Joe, is like, oh, right, like, oh, thanks a lot. That was me, you know, who wrote it. She's like, I just don't think it was good. And she's like, and I was even more disappointed because, you know, didn't you write something good once or something? And he's just like, oh, whatever. And he's like, what do you know, you dumb lady? Essentially. And she leaves, and she feels kind of course, she's also embarrassed because she obviously, you know, bad talked his movie in front of him.
Yeah.
And he asks the producer, like, hey, can I borrow some money? And the producer's like, I'd love to lend you money, but I have this to pay and this to pay, whatever. And he goes, he starts making calls with, like, his buddies. One of his buddies is like, I can give you $20. And he's like, $20 is not $300, you know? He's like, he'll take it, but it's not enough. And he's trying to contact his agent. The agent's not picking up. And when he finds his agent is, like, playing golf. And his agent's like, I can't just give you this money or whatever. And he gets all mad.
Yeah.
So Joe is like, I guess I just gotta go back to Ohio, whatever. He's like, I'll get those $20, I'll sell all my stuff, and I'll buy, like, a train ticket and go back to Ohio. But as he's heading home, he sees the two guys who were trying to take his car that morning.
Yeah. And
they see him, and like, oh no, so it's basically like a car chase. He, like, starts, like, careening down the street, and those two guys are chasing him. Sorry, I had to cough.
No, you're good.
Was chasing him, and he's like careening around, and he, like, makes a turn, his tire blows out, and he's like, oh no, what do I do? So he pulls up into, like, some random driveway, and the guys pass him, and he's like, all right, phew, like, no problem, right? But he's like, oh, this mansion, there's this big mansion, there's a garage, I'll just drive my car into the garage. He assumes the mansion is abandoned because it looks super old, you know?
I see.
He pulls in the garage and he sees, like, a 1930s, like, car, essentially like what would be like a limousine. Like, it's really cool, but it's obviously super old. And he sees this, like, this guy, his name is Max, he's the butler of the mansion. And he comes in, he's like, you're late. He's like, oh, I parked here accidentally, like, I just need some help, can I use your phone? And he's like, you're late, come inside. And he's like, oh, I don't know what the hell is going on, but he follows him, he goes inside. And when he goes in, they're asking him, like, all these questions, like, what do I do about this, but he's like, I don't even know what you're talking about, lady. And they're like, you're not dressed for the occasion. And, like, what occasion? He sends them upstairs. And he sees this, like, a funeral, basically, for a dead monkey.
Okay.
Yes. And it's just, yeah, he's, like, in a casket or whatever, I think. And she's like, oh, what do I do about this? And she's like, oh, where can we bury it? Because I guess she's asking for a coffin. And she shows him, like, this dead chimp. And he's like, okay, this is great. Weird. He's like, listen, I'm not here to, you know, to take away your weird, creepy dead monkey.
Yeah.
I had trouble with my car, and I pulled into your garage. Like, do you have an empty, like, tire or whatever? And she's like, no, go away. And he's like, all right, whatever.
Same.
But he is also like, hey, haven't I seen you before? And he's like, hey, you're Norma Desmond. You used to be in silent pictures. You used to be big. And she's like, I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very, like, hoity-toity about it. And she, like, starts talking about how, like, by introducing the talkies, right, because she was a silent movie star, like, by introducing the talkies, they destroyed people like, you know, me and others. Like, we are still these great big stars. It was the use of sound that took away from the art of film and all this stuff, right? And he's like, listen, I'm just a writer. I don't know anything about this. I can't help you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna leave. This is super weird. And as he's leaving, and this is Norma Desmond, she is sort of like, and of course her mansion is huge, right?
Yeah.
So like there's just like the stairs are just like this great big sort of stairway. He's like at the bottom and she's like all the way at the top and is like, have you written pictures or whatever? Like it's just the house is like so massive and it's clearly just her and like the butler, right?
Symbolism.
Yes. Have you written anything before? And she's like following him. He's like, oh yeah, sure, I've written some things. He's like, you want my credits? And she's like, here, I want you to read my scripts. And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, I'll read the scripts. And basically, she just wants her opinion, right? She's like, I've written a film about Salome, who is like this Jewish princess, the daughter of Herod or something. Yeah, I don't know if you know. And she's like, I've written this because this is my return to the screen, right? Yeah. I'm going to play Salome. And he's like, okay, sure, like, whatever. He's like, oh, but at first he's like, I don't want to read it because what if I steal your material? And she's like, no, read it. He's like, here, come sit down. And he's like reading this and he's like, he's reading the script and it's pages, like hundreds of pages, right? Like it's not like a regular script. She's like, haven't written this script.
It's
and
a
he's like,
mini-series.
Yeah, more than, right? And he's like, this script is wild. It's terrible. It's not good. But he's there and he's seeing like her have this funeral for like the dead chimp and he's getting served champagne and like caviar and she's also like sitting in her chair like literally like this and she has like a cigarette holder like on her finger like ringwood and it's little, it's very short, so it's like pushed on her thing and she'd be like smoking or whatever. And she's like wearing sunglasses inside, so she just seems like, you know, she is definitely some weird, strange lady. Yeah. And she, like, is passing him, like, these stacks of papers.
And she's just watching him read it.
Yeah, she's just watching him read this.
Love that.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't like this, but he sees that, you know, she is loaded, so maybe he could get something out of this. Right? Because, again, he doesn't have any money. He was planning on leaving. Like, what can I get out of this? Yeah. So he basically is like, you know, it's okay. It's a good script, but I think I can help you make it better, essentially. Yeah, he's like, you know, there's some things that repeat. You're not a professional writer. He's like, I could put some dialogue in there. And she's like, what do I need dialogue? I can say anything I want with my eyes or whatever. You know, she's still holding on to this idea of being a silent movie star. And she's like, when were you born? He was like, what's your zodiac? And he's like, I'm a Sagittarius. She's like, you can trust Sagittarius or whatever.
Oh, no. So it's always been like that in LA.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, I'm expensive and I'm like $500 a week.
Ooh.
Or something. And she's like, I'll make it worth your while, kind of thing.
It's even a lot by today's standards.
Yeah. I would kill $500 a week.
A week? Okay, $2,000 a month.
And she's like, "Are you married?" He's like, "No, I'm not married." And she's like, "Here, your car's beat up, whatever. Stay the night. It's like you could sleep above the garage." And basically he'll just be there for a little bit, just to like patch up the script, right? He's not expecting to stay here forever. It's just for a little while.
It's a
maybe
trap.
a week, a few days, kind of thing.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't mess with crazy.
Yeah, literally. And it's like a room. It's, the mother-in-law. It's the room above the garage, and it's this pretty shitty room. And Max, the butler, is like, "I made the bed this afternoon." He was like, how did you know I was going to be staying this afternoon? Like, I just agreed like 5 minutes ago or whatever. And he was like, Miss Desmond has her ways or whatever. And he's trying to make conversation with Max, like, "Oh, hey, she's a little strange or whatever, right?" And Max isn't biting, and he's just kind of ignoring him and being like, "There's the bathroom, like, gotta go." And he's like, this guy's also kind of like a weirdo, right? So he's just in this big old mansion with a bunch of weirdos. And he can see, like, out this windows, like, tennis court, like, a pool, like, all this stuff, and none of it is kept, like, there's no upkeep, right? Yeah. So it's just everything about it is dilapidated. And he can see from his window the pool that we found him earlier, and it's a mess, right? There's leaves everywhere, it's dirty, and there's, like, rats in the yard, like, fighting over food, like, again. And he, again, can see them burying this coffin with this dead chimp in the yard. And she's like, it's like some fucking Addams Family. She's wearing, like, the veil, and she's got, like, a candelabra or whatever, like, this black, like, she is so dramatic, like, beyond compare, right? And he's like, it's all very strange here.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, like, I'm here. So when he wakes up in the morning, all of his stuff is there. So all of his clothes, his typewriter, his luggage, everything. And he's like, what the fuck is happening? He runs into the house, and, like, Max is playing, like, the organ with these gloves, and he's like, what are you doing? What is my stuff doing here? And he was like, the lady told me to go get them. I brought them myself, obviously.
How do they know his address?
I don't know. Maybe car registration in the car?
Oh, maybe.
They have that address in there? And they even pay off, like, all his debts or something.
Oh, they own you now.
Yeah, so he's like, wait a minute, I'm not here to live here. I'm just here for a little bit to fix your script. We didn't say anything about me staying, and she's like, well, you owe 3 months rent. I paid for that, like, just stay here a little while and help me, whatever. He's like, okay, just deduct it from my salary. And she's like, I don't care about little matters like your salary, it's whatever. And she tells Max to go unpack his things. He's like, okay, just done, madame, or whatever. And so Gillis is upset because he's like, I don't like that they did this, but I need the money, right?
Yeah.
And this is a job.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, fine. So he starts working on the script, and it's like like a huge stack, like just hundreds and hundreds probably of, like, papers that she's written. And he's like, reading through it, like rewriting them, and she's just watching him the whole time. And anytime he's like cut something, she's like, no, why did you cut it? Cut away from me. Why would you cut away from me? Like, this is perfect just the way it is. Put it back in. So he'd have to, like, go and grab the paper again and put it back in. He's just like, what is going on? And she's like, but people still love me. Look, I still get fan letters, and they're always asking for, like, my autograph and all this stuff. I'm so big, like, you can't take things away from me. He's like, whatever, like, okay, I'll figure out how to put it back in. And he's just like, she's just crazy. Like, how can you argue with someone who is that sort of narcissistic,
delusional,
right?
yeah.
Like, delusional, yeah. And, like, every picture in her house is just pictures of her in her heyday, right?
Ooh.
Like, just all of them. And if she wants to watch a movie, they don't leave the house. She has her own in-home theater.
It's a big deal back then.
Yeah. But of course, the only movies that they show are her movies.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, we'd watch the movies and sometimes she'd like clutch my arm or whatever, you know, just like, and I don't even think there is piano music. It's probably like Max or whatever. And she's just like in awe of herself. And he's just so, you know, clearly uncomfortable. And she'll say things like, you know, there aren't any faces like that anymore, you know. Maybe Garbo, but even then, like, it's still, you know, I'm just amazing. Like, I have the face, I have the skill. How could they do this to me? That kind of thing. And she, like, I don't know how often, but every now and then, that she'd play bridge, and she plays bridge with all of her friends, like the old time friends from that time. So they're all actual silent stars. I forget who they are. I just know one of them is Buster Keaton. And if anyone knows anything about me, I'm in love with Buster Keaton.
Yes.
Love him. So he has a funny line when they're playing bridge. So it'll be like, you know, playing this, and he's just like, pass. The only thing he says is pass, pat, like the entire time. And she like wants him there next to him, right? So she wants Joe just next to him. She's like smoking. He'll like empty out the ashtray or whatever. And anytime he sort of leaves, she's like, come back. And so he's like, sees that the two guys who were chasing her at the beginning of the movie come, and Max is talking to them. He's like, what do they want? He's like, don't worry about it. They asked about you, about your, like, but I'm not here. And he's like, yeah, that's what I told them. But since they found his car in the garage, they are going to tow the car.
Oh, but I thought they paid everything off.
No, they just paid. Sorry, he was behind on his rent as well, so they just paid off his rent. And he tries to talk to Norma to be like, "Hey, they've come for my car. Like, can you help me out?" And she's like, "Oh, what do you need a car for?"
Yeah,
like,
I knew she was gonna say that. You don't need a car.
And also, like, you know, I'm playing my game right now. Like, don't bother me, right? So he is, of course, right now like the kept boy, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's watching as they tow his car away, and he's realizing, like, oh, I'm kind of stuck here, right?
Trapped.
Yes. And so, you know, after they take the car, Max goes and he grabs the car that she has, and they clean it up or whatever. And we'd go for rides in the hills, essentially. And, like, the upholstery, like, the inside is, like, cheetah skin or whatever. And it's big, and it's, like, an open top. And she starts, like, criticizing, like, what are you wearing or whatever. She's like, you're always wearing the same sport jacket and baggy pants. Like, why don't you dress better? He was like, this is all I got. And so she's like, let's go to a men's shop in town. The very best. And he's like, I don't need clothes. She's like, no. Just because you don't want them doesn't mean anything. I want to get them for you. I want you to look nice, right? Like, and he's like chewing gum. She's like, do you have to chew gum? And he like has to spit out his gum and all this stuff. So he's, you know. And so they go to like the men's shop, and they're like fixing it up. And she's like, get a tuxedo, get tails, get this, get the camel, whatever. Like, get the more expensive. He's like, I don't need tails. I don't need all of this. I'm not going to any party. She's like, you're gonna need it for New Year's Eve, for the New Year's party. And he's like, I don't want this. And the guy, the young like guy working there is like, hey, you want this one? There's like this camel hair coat, like it's a little more expensive, or this other one. He's like, no, I don't want it. He's like, what does it matter? The old lady's paying for it anyway, right? So like, just why not get the more expensive one? And he's just like he just glares at the shopkeeper, because he's like, oh shit, like I got a sugar mama. Like,
yeah,
you know,
he just stumbled himself into a toxic mom situation.
Yes. And so he's been there maybe, you know, a few weeks, maybe a few months, probably just a few weeks. But as like December comes, the rains, it starts to rain, and the garage has a bunch of holes. So where he's still living under the garage, and like all his stuff is getting wet. So he moves into the big house.
Final step. All according to her plan.
All according to her plan. And he gets the room, and he's like, oh, this is the room that was basically, all her ex-husband used to have this room. And he's like, oh, like,
that's funny.
Yeah, so he's like,
what
he's
a
like,
coincidence.
the madam has been married 3 times or whatever, and he's like, okay, that's a little weird.
She's trying to make it a 4th time.
Yeah. And it connects to her room, and all of the doors don't have any locks.
Uh-oh.
So then, like, you can see, like, the hole where the doorknob would go, but there's no locks anywhere in the house. So he's actually realizing this now, like, oh, shit, like, that's weird. And Max is like, oh, the doctor suggested we do that. And he's like, what doctor? He's like, the madam's doctor, because she gets melancholy sometimes or whatever. And she has attempted suicide before, so we just don't have any locks.
Okay.
And he's like, so we have to be careful about what we do. She can't have sleeping pills, razor blades. She doesn't have gas in her room. Like, yeah. So he's just like, Max, what's going on? Like, don't you think this is a little weird or whatever? He's like, no. And he also is like, well, she still has her fans, right? And he's like, don't look too closely at the postmarks, right? So Max basically sends all these fan letters to her.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah. And so he opens, like, the door to her room, and it's, like, just, rococo is the only way I can say, like, it's just overfilled with all of this, like, drapery and, like, gold, like, whatever.
It's new money
crazy.
rich.
Yes.
Ostentatious.
Yes. And it's like New Year. I think it's New Year's. Yeah, it's like the New Year's party. And he comes down in his coat and tails. And there's a band playing. And Norma Desmond's there in her beautiful dress. And she's like, oh, come dance with me. He's like, well, okay, that's great, but what about all of, like, your guests? Like, aren't they going to come soon? She's like, no, it doesn't matter. Let's drink now. And she's like, I know you're not as great a dancer as Valentino, but let's dance anyway, or whatever nonsense kind of thing. And, like, they're dancing, and she's like, now she's, like, on him, like, leaning her head on him and things, and he's kind of like, I don't know about this, but in a way, he, it's like, I kind of owe her this, considering what she's done for me, right? And he's like, it's getting late. Oh, aren't your guests coming? And she's like, there are no other guests. It's just you and me. I don't want to share this night with other people. And he's like, oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And, like, they are, and she's talking about, like, what a great year the next year is going to be, like, I'll fill in the pool for you. I'll open my house in Malibu. You can have the whole ocean. We're going to finish our picture, and I'll buy you a boat, and we'll go to Hawaii. And he's like, stop it. I don't want you to buy anything for me anymore. She's like, oh, like, why are you always saying things like that? Like, oh, whatever. And she's like, you know what? Here. And she gives him, like a gold, I'm assuming a gold, like, cigarette case. And she's like, I was going to give this to you at midnight, but here, like, just take it. And he's like, what is this? He's like, this is too much money. She's like, oh, what does it matter about money? He's like, you've bought me too much. She's like, I'm rich. I'm richer than all of this Hollywood trash. I've got $1 million. Like, I own 3 blocks in downtown, and I own oil in the Bakersfield or whatever.
Damn, not Bakersfield.
Yeah. She's like, I can buy whatever we want. For us. And he's like, stop it, but there's no us. She's like, what do you mean there's no us? He's like, you're taking me for granted. Like, I'm not even supposed to, like, be here for all this. Like, how can you assume this? And they get into a fight. And he's like, I have my own life. Like, don't you think I might be in love with some girl somewhere? And she's like, who? What girl? Who could she be? She's an extra or a car opera or whatever. He's like, you want a big shot, and I'm no big shot. And she, like, gets so mad. I think she slaps him. She's like, all I want to do is love you. She's like, you hate me, don't you? Say it, or something stupid. And she, like, runs away. Just like, oh, so sad, back upstairs. And he's like, I'm not staying here any second. Like, I'm going to leave. Yeah. And Max is just there, like, in the background. Like,
He's just chilling. He's minding his own gay business.
Minding his own business. And that's when he, like, grabs his coat and he leaves. And he actually goes to his friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I think his friend lives in, like, Las Palmas or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to his friend's apartment and he's having a New Year's party and he shows up. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's Joe! Like, Joe, where the fuck have you been? Right? Like, everyone's excited to see him and they're like, dude, what are you wearing? Like, why are you dressed in these, like, fancy tails? Like, this suit, whatever. Like, we were gonna report you missing. We haven't seen you in forever. And they're all just joking around with him and he's like, you know, happy to be here around his people. And while he's there, he runs into that girl, Betty Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
And he learns that he's engaged to his friend.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the friend's name. Whatever the friend's name is.
Yeah.
Artie. And she's like, you know, I wanted to call you. She's like, I wanted to find you, but I couldn't find you, and I wanted to talk about one of your sort of scripts or outlines you sent in. And she was like, the script was bad, but you had like a flashback scene that I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, here, let's go talk about this. And she's trying to convince him to be like, you know, like, why don't you write something, whatever that was, because that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, you know, why don't you use it? Why don't you write something with it? You know, I'm not doing anything with it. And she's like, you know, and she's like, no thanks. And they're in like the bathroom just talking and they're getting really close and looks like maybe they're gonna kiss or something. And, you know, all this tension. And they kind of go apart and he's like, oh, like maybe there's something here, right? Maybe I can have something with this girl.
But she's engaged to his friend.
Yeah, she's engaged to his best friend. But he goes and he calls Max. He calls Norma Desmond's house. He's like, hey, can you do me a favor? And he's like, get me my suitcase. I think he decides he's gonna crash at Artie's place or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll have someone pick him up, like whatever. And Max is like, I don't have time to do that because the doctor is here. And he's like, what do you mean the doctor's here? And he's like, there's been an incident essentially. And he's like, oh no. So he like runs out in like,
it's a trap.
Yeah, so he like runs out, he grabs his coat, he leaves, and he comes back to the house. And of course, she had grabbed like his razor and she like slit her wrists.
Oh
and
my
so
god.
He comes, and she's like in the bed and she's like, you know, lying back, just like, everything is terrible, and like her wrists are wrapped. And he's there, and she's like, Joe, is that you? Kind of thing. And he's like, oh, that would have been a great headline, right? Like, this great big star killed herself over some loser. And she's like, oh, like, I'm not a loser. I did it for you, Joe. I just want to love you. Why don't you let me love you or whatever? And so he's just like, you know what? I didn't want to hurt you, so I lied about not loving you or not caring about you. Like,
no.
You've been good to me. You're the only person who's been good to me. Like, I won't go. I'll stay.
Oh, no.
And she's like, if you leave, I'll do it again. I'll do it again or whatever. He's like, okay, fine. Like, I'll fucking, you know, basically, I'll stay. Like, she's manipulated him. And he, like, kisses her, I think. Yeah. So now he is living, like, in the house. Just accepted himself as this, you know, the boy toy here.
Yeah.
And he gets a phone call from Betty Schaefer, and Max keeps answering the phone and is being like, there's nobody here with that name. I don't know who Joe is. Stop calling. And so now the pool is open, and like Norma is like, you know, lounging at the pool, and Joe is swimming in the pool, and he's wearing like cheetah print swimming trunks or whatever, you know, like leopard print. Like, clearly he is whatever she wants, you know, is what he is. And she says, you know what? She tells Max, we're going to Paramount. I'm going to go talk to DeMille. and I'm going to show him my scripts, you know. And he's like, I don't know if, like, that, if we should. She's like, no, they've been calling me or whatever, like, and she's telling me, like, I've never been so happy in all my life, that kind of thing. Where am I?
She's never been happy in all her life.
Yeah. Oh, so they're, like, going out, and he runs into, like, the drugstore, and he runs into Betty, and Betty's like, hey, I've been trying to call you. I told that producer that he was talking to them in the beginning of the film about your story, and he really liked it, and he wants to see the script. And he's like, what story? She's like, the one I was telling you about, you know, during New Year's. I've been trying to contact you, and, you know, I haven't been able to.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, maybe you could go down there and talk to him. He's like, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not writing on spec anymore. Like, if you kind of sold it, then you've sold it. Like, you take credit for it and you write whatever that is. And as he's talking to them, like, Max shows up in his little chauffeur outfit. He's like, Mr. Gillis. He's like, oh, okay, interesting. So they kind of see, like, hey, you know, you're wearing this outfit. You got these very expensive cufflinks. Like, what's going on? And Betty's like, you can't just let me take this. Like, it's your career. Like, yes, I don't want to be a reader, but I would feel guilty if I took your idea.
Yeah.
He's like, but you have my blessing. Like, go for it. And every now and then, Norma has, like, Norma Follies, where she will do, like, acts that she did in her own films or copy acts of other people. So she'll be like, I'm swimming and I have a parasol. Or she'll, you know, dress up like Charlie Chaplin and do, like, a little bit of, like, you know, his stuff. And he's like, Paramount's calling. She's like, oh, Paramount, we need to go to Paramount. They've been calling. Oh my God, we have to go. She's like, you see, you believe me, DeMille would never leave me hanging in the lurch, kind of thing. So they go, they get all dressed up. And they go in their great big car, and the guy at the gate is like, who are you? She's like, it's Norma Desmond, Mr. DeMille wants. They're like, you can't get in here.
Oh.
Like, I don't know who you are, lady, but you can't come in here. But there's an older security guard that's like, hey, that's Norma Desmond. You gotta let her in, right? Like, she owns this place or whatever. And she's like, that's right, I own this place. And she's like, where's Mr. DeMille shooting? He's like, he's over there, whatever stage or whatever he is. And she's like, thank you, and you should teach these young people some manners because they don't know anything about, you know, how amazing I am. She's like, Paramount Studios wouldn't be Paramount without me or whatever nonsense kind of thing. And she goes to the studio, and she shows up, and they're like, oh, hey, DeMille, like, Norma Desmond's here. And DeMille is talking to some of his, like, people, and they're like, hey, she wants to talk to you, like, what do we do? Like, just get rid of her. She's old, she's crazy, she doesn't know anything about her. He's like, listen, like, I knew Norma Desmond when she was just a kid, like, 17 years old. Like, she was, you know, gonna be something. She was terrible to work with, but, like, she, like, you know, but she did have, like, something, and he kind of more or less feels bad for her, right?
Yeah.
'Cause she lost basically everything. So she goes and to the stage, she's like, DeMille, and he's like, oh, Norma, and they're like, oh, it's been so good to see each other. And they're like, I remember the last time I saw you, like, I was drunk and dancing on a table or something. Lindbergh just landed in Paris, right? Like, this is so long ago, clearly. Yeah. And she goes to this, like, the stage, and she sees people working. And all of the older, like, extras or, like, you know, workers are like, oh, it's Norma Desmond, right? But all the younger people, like, have no idea.
Like, who?
And one of, like, the light operators is like, hey, that's Miss Desmond! And they put, like, the light on her so she's shining and, like, you know, the spotlight. And she's sitting in, like, DeMille's chair, and she's like, did you see them? Did you see how they came to me? Like, they love me. They want me. And DeMille's like, listen, Norma, like, I think you're better off where you are, you know, essentially.
Yeah.
And because I think she sent him the scripts, And so he was just like, you know, like, okay, whatever. And she's like, oh, I didn't realize I missed this so much. She's like, oh, we'll be working again today, won't we? And he's like, listen, I want to talk to you about the script. She's like, it's such a great script, isn't it? But he gets called away to be like, hey, it's time for the shoot. Like, let's start. He's like, listen, why don't you just sit here and watch? You know, pictures have changed since you've been, you know, in the movies, essentially. And as they're out there, Max is telling Joe, I forgot his name, like the big area where all of the, you know, the writers' rooms and things are. He's like, you see this where it says reader's department? This whole area is to be Miss Desmond's entire dressing room or whatever. And Joe is like, okay, whatever. But he sees Betty, and he's like, kind of hides, but he also goes after her. And so he goes up there and he's like, hey, Betty, yeah, he's like, how's that script going? And she's like, listen, I've got an idea. And she's trying to tell him. And he's like, listen, it's your baby, whatever you want to do. She's like, can't we just work in the evenings or in the morning, whatever? She's like, I'm at your disposal. Artie's out of town. Like, let's just write this, right? Like, just beat this out.
Oh, my fiance is out of town.
Yeah. Oh, they were just dating. I think now they're engaged. But he's an assistant director, so he's working. He's, you know, on location, essentially. And he's like, no, we can't do it. He's like, so stop being worried about whatever and just write it. He's like, he gives her a situation about some teacher who teaches in the daytime and the nighttime, and this other guy in the nighttime. So I think they share an apartment, so like one in the day, one at night, share the same bed, whatever nonsense. She's like, hey, that's good. And he's like, no, it's not. He's like, well, whatever. She's like, come back. Like, let's work on this together. And she's like, oh, like, why don't you just work with me? So he goes back, and she's like in the car, and she's like, oh, it was amazing. They love me. Like, we're going to be back here soon. But the reason they find out that the reason Paramount wanted to call him was because they wanted to use the car. They wanted to use and so like DeMille's assistant's like, hey, should we ask? We never got to ask him about the car. He was like, let's get someone else, because he's like, there's no way if she finds out they were just calling her for the car. Yeah, like it's gonna. She's already like on a thread. It's gonna break her. Like we can't do that. And so now Norma thinks that she is going to be in the movies, right? So she's doing all of this, like, I gotta prepare to get back. I gotta get my, you know, my face massage, my spa, my hair paint, all this stuff, right? All this beauty regime, my massages, checking for any flaws, that kind of thing. And she's like, oh, you know, where have you been going at night? He's like, I'm not going anywhere. And she's like, oh, I just want you to be patient with me. And like, I know this is hard on you too, or whatever. I'm assuming because maybe they haven't had sex in a while, but it's just like, clearly he doesn't want to.
Or ever.
Or ever. Yeah. And so she like goes to bed, and he waits like for her to sleep before he sneaks out. And he's going to Paramount Studios to work with Betty on this script. She's like, oh, you know, yeah, I totally miss Artie, of course. Like, he's gonna be back soon. So they've really only got this month to work on it, and so they're doing this at night. And they start talking about like why she's into films. Like one of her like both her parents work in movies or worked in movies, not just like as like script writers or anything, but like, you know, the tech guy or like the not the laundry, but like the costumes kind of people. And so they end up, of course, falling in love while working on this script. And Max is just like, she's awake and she knows that she's been, you know, leaving in the middle of the night.
Philandering.
Like, yeah, or maybe. And so she's like, she goes through his stuff, and I think she finds the script, and she's like, oh, who's he working with? And Norma calls Betty.
Uh-oh.
And she's like, listen, Betty, why don't you come over? Like, if you really want to know why he can't spend time with you in, like, the daytime, whatever. And Joe comes in, and he is, he's listening to her. She's like, he's not living with his friends or like friends that you think he would be. He's not staying with his parents. Why don't you ask him, right? Ask him where he is. And Joe, like, takes the phone out of her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And he in the phone is like, yeah, Betty, ask me again. This is Joe. She's like, Joe, what's going on? I'm scared. I'm confused. And he's like, if you really want to know, like, why don't you come over here to this house on Sunset Boulevard? And he hangs up the phone. And Norma's like, like she didn't expect him to do that. And she's like, oh, I need you, Joe. I need you. Look at my hands. I'm old. Look at my face. Look at my hair. I'm under so much pressure because I'm wasting away because I need to go back to work and you don't even care. She's like, hit me if you want. I don't care, but just don't hate me. Don't say you hate me, Joe. Whatever nonsense. He's just like glaring at her. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything. She's like sobbing in bed. And Betty shows up to the house. And the doorbell rings and she's like, oh, I love you. I love you. What are you gonna do? And like as Joe gets up to leave and she gets up, she has like a gun under her, like, yeah. So, Betty shows up and Joe answers the door. He's like, come on in. She's like, why am I scared, Joe? What's going on? He's like, come on in. He's like, this is where I live. Be careful. Like, the tiles are slippery. Valentino used to live here. Like, this is, Norma Desmond? You must have heard of her, right? And like, here's all of her fucking pictures and shit. He's like, that's Norma on the phone. Like, she had that ceiling brought in from this, and like, he's like, what do you think is going on? Like, I'm trying to tell you, right? Like, between me and Norma Desmond, right? This is a great big place. There's 8 master bedrooms, like, and here I am, right? I've got the good life going on. It's a simple setup, right? A very older woman, lonely, lots of money, a younger man, not doing too well. Like, you put it together. She's like, no, I don't. She's like, I'm not gonna believe you. Like, let's just leave, right? You just take all your stuff and leave. And he's like, all of my stuff? I've got all these suits, I've got all these shoes, I've got all these accessories now. Like, I never had this before. Like, you want me to take all of this? And she's like, Joe, please. She's like, if you love me, Joe, you would leave with me. He's like, let's be practical, sweetie, right? He's like, I've got a good thing going on here. And essentially go back with Artie, right? Like, let's not ruin this. And she's like, I can't even look at you anymore, Joe. And he escorts her out. And he's like, good luck, Betty. And he tells her to go to Arizona with Artie, and she can finish the script there. So she leaves in tears. And as he like closes the gate, there's Norma from like the balcony looking at him, and she's like, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Oh my God, Joe, like, thank you. I knew you wouldn't leave me. I love you, darling. I knew you wouldn't leave me. And he like goes to his room and he closes the door, and like Norma Desmond sees herself in the reflection. She's got like these patches and she takes them off, and she's like wide-eyed and deranged and like looking at herself like that Gustave Courbet painting, you know, where he's like, yeah, definitely channeling that. And and she's like, can I come in, Joe? I've stopped crying. I'm better now. And she opens the door and he's packing his shirts, and it's literally just like the stuff he brought. It's none of the fancy things. He's like, thanks for this thing. Here's the watch. Here's the like, I don't need this. I'm gonna leave. And she's like, Max. He's like, I'm going back to Ohio. And she's like, no, you can have anything you want. You can have money. What do you want? Like, I'll give it to you. And she's like, I can't live without you. And she's sobbing over his like suitcases, and he's like not even like responding to her. He's packing his shit. He's done. He's over it. He had to break the heart of the woman he loved. Yeah. And this horrible woman, she's like, look, I have this gun. I was gonna kill myself. Like, don't you care? I was gonna do that. She's like, thousands of people will care. And he's like, you suck, right? Like, these people left you 20 years ago. No one cares about you. Like, you don't have any fans. And he's like, they only wanted you for the car. And she's like, what? he's like, DeMille didn't have the heart to tell you. She's like, what? He's like, none of us had the heart to tell you. He's like, Max is the one who sends you those letters every day. She's like, oh yeah? And Max comes in, he's like, she is the greatest star of all. Oh, something I forgot to mention. In the middle of the movie, you find out that Max used to be her third ex-husband.
Oh.
One of her ex-husbands, and in fact was a former director of her films.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
He's still in love with her, clearly.
Yeah, so he just takes care of her.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna take Gillis's bags, like he's leaving, and Norma's like literally looks insane, like I can't even, like, she's like, I'm a star, you heard him, I'm a star, like wild eyes staring off into the distance, like she's clearly, we've broken, right? She's completely disconnected.
Yeah.
He's like, you're 50, right? Like you're not 25, like you can't like keep trying to act like you're still this person you were. She's like, I'm the greatest star of all. He's like, all right, whatever. And he's like, you're not a star. She's like, I am a star. And he's walking down the steps and she's got the gun clenched in her arms. And she's like, Joe. And he's walking outside and he's just, and she shoots him.
Yep.
And he stumbles, but he keeps walking and she shoots him again and he keeps walking. Shoots him again and he falls into the pool.
Ooh.
Yep. And she's like, doesn't even say anything. She's like standing outside, staring off into the distance, like, stars are ageless, aren't they? Kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh my God. And we cut to, he's like, well, this is where you came in. I'm back at the pool.
And that's how I die.
That's how I got here. And we see like the police literally like pulling him out of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, isn't it weird how people are so nice to you when you're dead, right? Like no one ever cared about me when I was alive, but here I am, they're checking my like damage and stuff. And we see like all of these reporters are at the door. Paramount News is there, like, you know, his dead body's being carted off, and everyone's at the door of her at her house, and they're all in there. Even the reporters now inside on the staircase. Yeah. And Hedda Hopper, who was a famous Hollywood journalist at the time, is like in the film, being like, "Listen, as day breaks, there was a murder. Norma Desmond, star of yesteryear, in a state of complete mental shock, right? As you know, whatever, she murdered, whatever. She sits in her boudoir, and she's like sitting at like her boudoir, right, like her vanity, and she's just like touching her face and looking at herself. Her eyes are wide. She's just completely disconnected, and everyone's trying to ask me, like, the police is like, where did you meet him? How did you meet him? Why do you hate him? Why'd you kill him? And she's just like completely not paying attention. And like, what about theft? Would he steal something? You catch him trying to steal something? Like what happened here? Like, and someone says like, oh, the newsreel men are here, and the police is like, there's no time for cameras, and she's like looking, and she's like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, cameras? And they're like, oh, okay, so this is what she responds to. She's like, tell Mr. DeMille I'll be down at set at once. And everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And Max is there like, uh-oh, we've got to continue to feed into her delusion. So the policeman is like, oh, we got to get her downstairs somewhere, right? So let's put the police car right outside, and we'll meet her, whatever. And Max is like, everything is ready, madam. She's like, thank you, Max. He's like, is there a confession? What's going on? And he goes to the newsreel people, like, are the cameras set up? Let's go. Lights ready. All set. Okay. And he's, you know, because he used to be director or whatever, he's making sure everything's set. And there's Norma Desmond coming out. She's got, like, this, I don't even know if it's, like, whatever, some long, crazy sash or whatever, with, like, all these little rhinestones. She's got rhinestones in her hair. All the cameras are flashing. She's, again, still kind of staring all out. And everyone's like, quiet on set. He's like, point those cameras at Norma. Lights, camera, action, or whatever. And but Max looks so like upset, and she's like, what's my motivation? What's going on? And he's like, this is the staircase of the palace. She's like, yes, I get it. Action. And she's coming down so slowly, and it's just, I love this because it's like, you just see like a pan of her walking down like she is the princess. And all of the news reporters and the policemen are just watching her as she comes down. And she, like, you know, her hands in her arms, because that's how she just is, with these crazy hands. And everyone's watching. Hedda Hopper's like, oh my God, this woman's deranged. Even Max looks like, this is awful. Like, And she's like, thank you everyone for being here. I'm so happy. I just want to tell you how happy I am to be back at the studio making a picture again. I've missed all of you and I know you've all missed me. She's like, you will always have my heart. It will always be like this. It's just us and the cameras, nothing else. And she's like, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. And Max is just staring like, he looks so sad and miserable. And she's like, walking to the cameras, literally like, I can't even explain. And yeah, that's the end of the movie.
I see.
I'm gonna rewatch this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that is Sunset Boulevard.
Okay. I do want to watch it, because literally listening to it, I'm like, I would watch the shit out of a docuseries about this if this was like a real person.
Yeah, this movie is so... I love this movie because she is just sort of wild and insane, and I mean, it's so easy to see how this could be any sort of former actor or actress, right? Like, hanging on to that, just their peak moment in life and just not moving past it. And unfortunately having someone who is enabling you and also still more or less having the money to do all the crazy shit that you do. So it's not like I've hit rock bottom and everything else also reflects that. It's like, no, I'm still living the exact same way, but I'm still technically rock bottom. So.
I know, it's very interesting. There's lots of different layers to the messages. Like, there's obviously this is like a textbook toxic relationship, and how that kind of relationship can start, where she's like, it's abusive. She's controlling, she's making decisions for him, she's taking away his autonomy, but then because she has money, it's like capitalism taking advantage of a desperate person sort of thing. But if the genders were reversed, I don't know if it would be like a different story, but it would have kind of different implications. But it's so much easier to see like the abuse angle if it was like she was a man and he was a woman. So it's interesting to see it played out this way, because that can certainly still happen. It's just interesting because it brings into questions like on one hand she's sympathetic, because it's like, it must suck to suddenly lose your stardom, and trying to hold on to relevancy. And there's some commentary about women in Hollywood and, ageism, stuff like that. 1 minute you're in, the next minute you're out. That's a difficult thing to deal with for anybody, but doubly so for women, because your attractiveness and appeal and how you look matters. And a woman that might be called difficult to work with, if she was a man, maybe there'd be a higher tolerance for that same sort of behavior, right? So on some level, it's like she's sympathetic, but on the other, it's like she's so mentally unwell. She's like what you said. She's being so mentally unwell, so manipulative, so controlling, so like stuck in her glory years, unable to move forward, almost like in defiance of the natural progression of time. She's like trying to hold on to how she previously was, but it's like, you're not 25, you're 50, you have to roll with it. I know being a 50-year-old actress can be difficult, but it's like, it's what you make of your circumstances, There's like, it's kind of like the line between the respect she's due and the sheer entitlement that she exudes. It's like, on one hand, it sucks not being recognized, but on the other hand, she's acting so entitled about it and just expecting these things to happen because of course they will, because of her ego and everything. And then with Joe, it's like, I understand he is down on his luck and needs money, but it's kind of like, how much of yourself and your identity do you sacrifice for the sake of creature comforts, right? Which I think is still a universal theme, especially as capitalism keeps chugging along, and nowadays, right? It's like, you need money to survive. Your soul-sucking job might change you.
And I mean,
you know?
and it's also like, does he do this to continue to follow his dream?
Exactly.
Right? Like, what also are you willing to give up for your dream? And in the end, he really wasn't even able to do what he wanted, right? Like, he had to literally sneak out at night to write a script, right? Like, so yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, which goes into too with like I'm curious if at the time they were intending, again with the gender thing, to make some sort of commentary about like women are constantly told just marry a rich man so that you'll have the access to do what you want, right? But if the rich man is a controlling person, he's going to make you a thing and objectify you, and you're not going to have any freedom. And I think nowadays that's an important thing that I think a lot of younger women don't realize with the rise of like trad wives and the whole like I think a lot of women, especially younger white women, but not exclusive to them, and especially straight women, but again not exclusive, I don't think they understand why it's important for women to work and have the ability to work and the equal rights and everything. It's like, if you don't want a job, that's fine. But understand also, if you rely 100% on a man to provide for you, that creates a power dynamic that, depending on the man, can quickly shift out of your favor. And we see it playing out in Sunset Boulevard with the gender swap, so it feels kind of interesting to watch it that way. And I don't know if it made any men more aware of that or not, but it is very like this is what happens. It's almost like, regardless of the gender, if there is that huge financial disparity between the two of you, and if one of the people is a controlling person, you're going to start losing your autonomy, and that is really dehumanizing. And for women, that has, again, for a specific type of woman, that has been historically what has happened. So this whole like trad wife thing of like, oh yeah, you don't want to work, you just want to stay home, and like romanticizing being barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen and having lots of kids. It's like, if that's what you genuinely want, fine, but that's not as glamorous a job as you might think it is. It's very thankless. You're kind of just there. Or even like a trophy wife, like, I just want a sugar daddy, etc. Like, on paper it sounds like a good idea, but it depends on the person. If they're like a Norma Desmond, like, yeah, he's gonna buy you Chanel, but it may not be the Chanel that you like, you know, and it's just gonna feel uncomfortable, you know. And we see a lot of examples like that, of people just trying to buy your affection, and then people feeling like, oh, now I'm in this uncomfortable place, you spent so much money on me, I feel obligated to put out, like what would happen with Neil Gaiman and the scandal that came out with him and all the women that he preyed on, and even Amanda Palmer involved with that too. So it's very like the personal thing of like the personal abuse within a relationship, and like how power and finances play into that. But then that's kind of reflective of the system at large, right? Is kind of how I'm reading it. And criticism of Hollywood, but also of just capitalism in general, just using it as a vehicle for it. Yeah.
Well, this was written and directed by Billy Wilder. It's one of the greats. I don't think I've ever seen a movie he's done that I don't like.
What else has he done? I'm not as familiar with him.
So he's written a lot of movies. I believe not the first, but I don't know if he directed it. He wrote like Sabrina, 7-Year Itch.
Oh,
Some Like It Hot, and
I like Some Like It Hot.
Ace in the Hole. Like, he's done a whole bunch. Ball of Fire.
Okay, then I feel like
for the Persecution. He's The Lost Weekend, Double Indemnity.
Yeah.
So he's he's like a really great writer. I think he's a really good director.
If he's behind Some Like It Hot, then I feel like the gender aspect of Sunset Boulevard is intentional then, because there's a lot of play with gender in Some Like It Hot too. So
Some Like It Hot.
I like that movie.
I'm glad you've watched that.
I have watched that. That movie's pretty funny. I feel like we watched that movie.
So funny.
I don't know if we watched it together or not.
I don't know.
But I've definitely watched it.
many times.
Yeah. Well, Monty, what do you think about this movie? I want to hear your thoughts as someone who's watched it a lot and probably had a lot of time to think about it.
I really like this movie. I love how it gets into this, like the I don't even know how to start this, but like with the advent of talkies, it just happened so quickly that there wasn't like
a transition period.
A transition, right? It was like, oh, we made the fucking jazz singer, like it hit. Like this, even if movies were already in production, they were like, oh, let's make it a talkie. And it was literally just like, let's add a scene where maybe there was in camera sound or whatever, right? So it was just so immediate, and it really did just immediately sort of just stop a lot of silent film actors and actresses from continuing the trade, right? Because you may have a look, but some of them didn't have the voice, right? Or because they were so used to acting so broadly, and now we didn't need to, that it was like your acting style just doesn't suit the screen anymore, right? So there's like a few actors who maybe pulled it off. Like I think William Powell was a silent actor and made it into talkies. And he's like a great actor. He's amazing. And, you know, but not everyone, right? Like even if we think about, I mean, Buster Keaton's whole thing was just some bad business choices. He should never have sided with United Artists. But it was also like you look at someone and you imagine what their voice. I mean, you've seen Singing in the Rain, right? Like you imagine what they might sound like, and then you're like, oh, you sound strange or different. And because they were like an immediate like, okay, we're moving away from silent film into these talkies, because the technology wasn't great, right? It really stymied the imagination or even like the camera work or all those things. So in a way, Norma Desmond's character is right. Like movies were sort of destroyed within like those first like between maybe 27 and like 33 or 34, because the technology wasn't good. Everything was static, because you would hear the camera move or you would hear this move or that move. So we couldn't be as imaginative. Whereas like you watch some of the silent films and these cameras were doing crazy things. There were a lot of tricks and all this stuff. And it was like, we can't do that anymore because sound, right? And so in a way, it's like, you're kind of right. And you get to see like, oh, is this, you know, this could have been those actresses, right? Those people you loved, those stars. Like, what did happen to them, right? Like, they are just sort of forgotten memories. Like, who are they? So I think I really like that aspect of it. I love Norma Desmond as a character, like her as a character, even like as a villain, you know, like she's so good because she 100% believes whatever she's doing, right? She 100% believes she's doing the right thing. She 100% believes like she is the victim. She 100% believes that like she will get her, I guess, due diligence in a way, right? Everyone else is gonna get their comeuppance, and she's gonna prove that she is right? She is the star. She is beloved. And so you do you want to see her succeed in a way, right? So like when you find out like, oh, they're calling her, you're like, why? You know? But then you go to the studio, you're like, oh no, like there's just something else, you know? And then you find out it's for the car, you're like, oh, just like Max, you're kind of like, yeah, let's not tell her, right? Like, but at the same time, you do see how she is controlling Joe and just being terrible, and you're like, I don't like her. Like as a character, she is so good, and it does kind of go like, what could Gloria Swanson have done if, you know, talkies hadn't been so immediate, right? Could she have transitioned well into continuing as a movie star, as opposed to like, okay, I'm gonna have smaller roles now, or I'm gonna move to New York and go to the stage and maybe go into television later, right? So like, character completely opposite of the character, you know, that she played. So to me, I really like that aspect. I think we really sort of, because we also see like Paramount and The Lot, you do get some of that film history, like, oh, this is what it looked like. Right? Like this is how the sets or the stages like looked like, and I mean some of them are probably the same, but it is just really cool to be like from a modern day to see what it was like back in that day, right? So that is, to me, that is fun.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, Joe too. It is a bit like, do I like him? Do I not like him? Right? Like, and the whole entire time you're like, he's gonna die, but like, how does this happen? And you're watching this, and of course it comes to the point where you're like, you fucking forget he's dead, and you're like, and then she gets the gun, and you're like, oh, you know, and it's like, he's fucking, he did it, he died, you know. So you do get attached to him, and I think you do feel for him. But at the same time, like, he is making choices that you're like, why? Like, why are you doing this, right? Like, there was a point where you could have left, or where you could have said bye, where you could, right? And it's like, no. Where it is just now, like, it's not even that you're being manipulated. It's like, you have made this decision. Yeah. Which is why I think, too, at the end, when he tells Betty, like, this is me. This is, you know, and then he still decides to leave. Like, I think that's, like, the great, where you're like, yeah. Like, he admits, like, yeah, this fucking sucks. He doesn't deserve that girl. Like, she should go back to her man. Because he's at least an honest guy. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go back home. Like, I didn't make it. And I lost myself to, like, the glamour of it all. Yeah. Like, I don't even like who I am. Yeah. So it is, I don't know. I just really like it. I like William Holden as an actor. I think he's a really good actor. He's very charismatic. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so the actor who plays Max was also literally a former silent director. Oh, as well. Okay. His name is Eric von Strime or something.
I see. Yeah. It's kind of like Joe is.
Hold on. Yeah. And then I like the cameos of like the Hollywood old silent stars, and just like, you know, some of the people like DeMille and Hedda Hopper, and be like, you know. So that's nice for me. Okay, you go.
I was gonna say it's kind of like Joe is like the unlikable protagonist, but Norma is like the likable antagonist, kind of. And in the end, she thinks she got what she wanted. To her, she got exactly what she wanted. She had a happy ending. Her goal, but she's so lost in the delusion and like so like mentally not tied to reality. Everyone else is like, you're about to be arrested and your entire life is, you're going to be in jail, but you're not even going to realize because you're trapped in your delusion of the past. And Joe also, I feel like part of him too is like he had a successful movie in the past. So in a way he was also clinging to the past by going along with this lady because she had all the stuff that like he wanted. Like he also kind of wanted to take advantage of her, and then he couldn't divorce himself with what he thought success was for him, even though the house is clearly decrepit, that he just couldn't, he didn't want to leave. So yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I do want to watch it.
Do you kind of see why maybe we were supposed to watch it in film school?
I definitely see why maybe we were supposed to watch it in film school.
A lot of like, there's just a lot of really great shots. Like there's just like a really good cinematography just overall. And it really builds like that tension. Like when he's closing the door on Betty, like you see like the gate is bars, so it's like, oh, he's imprisoned, and you see her like the warden like looking, you know, and it's just, there's just like a lot of really great shots, and just all the choices that Gloria Swanson makes with Norma, with her hands and her, like she's always just kind of like ready to pounce kind of a thing, you know, which goes in with like the leopard print kind of thing that she's got going on.
The cougar, so, the original cougar.
The cougar, so to speak, yeah. And like William Holden isn't like so young where you feel like, oh, you know, like if it was, I don't know, Timothy Chalamet, you'd be like, oh, that's clearly a dumb baby idiot. Like, what's he doing, right? But like since William Holden's clearly like maybe in his 30s, that you're like, you're not that young that you're kind of, you know,
you should know better.
Naive, like you should know better. So it is,
Yeah. It's like he sees the trap, but he still walks into it.
Yeah.
He still chooses. It almost seems like the character's choosing to stay in the prison. So.
Go check out what those people are doing outside, George.
What are they doing?
They're getting into their car.
Oh.
He literally ran to the window to see what those people were doing. He's so Mexican. My American short hair is so Mexican.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mexico is America.
I know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, clearly I need to see this movie at some
Yes,
point.
please do.
Yeah.
And then read Great Gatsby.
And Great Gatsby. Yes.
Please.
At some point, I will.
I'm gonna read it to you over the phone.
You could do that too. When I'm driving, just like an audiobook. You can do the voices for me.
Oh, I will.
I know you will.
All right, Corinne, how many stars do you give this movie?
You know what? Initially, I was thinking 4 out of 5, but I think it's like a 5 out of 5 movie.
Whoa!
Like, even just hearing it, it's like, this sounds like a good movie, and I'm sure watching it will just, like, elevate it even further. You know, like, I can see, like, I'm already like, this sounds like a good thing. I like the beats. I like the story. There's very little I had an issue with. I feel like it's the blueprint for a lot of things. There's certain things where I'm, like, can see the references in modern drag even. Like, she seems like an iconic character. It's one of those movies where it's like, yeah, I could see the hype. I could see why this is...
get it.
So,
Okay.
yeah. What about you? What would you give this movie?
5 out of 5, no notes?
Yeah, no notes, yeah. 5 out of 5, no notes.
No notes?
No notes! No notes!
I think it's a great movie. Yeah.
It's also, like, still so relatable. Like, him being, like, trying to edit the script. She's like, no, put that in there. I'm like, that's just working with a client when you're a freelancer. That's just what that's like.
It's just, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Monze, where can they find us?
Oh, you can find us on Instagram at We Don't Watch Movies Pod. You can find me on Instagram at at Magic Monster.
To find Monze and We Don't Watch Movies Pod too.
We don't watch Monster.
We don't watch Monster.
Corinne, where can they find you?
You can find me at Korean is Korean on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
All right, yeah. Well, thanks for listening. There might be some funky stuff with the scheduling because I'm in the middle of a move and I'm traveling. I'll try to get this episode out early, but if it's late, you know why. So
We told you.
We told you at the end of the episode why it's late. And if it's on time, then now you know that.
Don't worry about it now.
Don't worry about it,
later.
but don't expect something for a few weeks. It's gonna be a little busy.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for listening.